Hey guys, Dave with Moniology here. Hope everyone is having a great holiday weekend. Happy Easter, happy Passover to those of you who are celebrating. This is the weekend market review for March 31st and April 1st, 2018. Let's have a look at the markets, where they are today, where they've been, and where they're likely headed. So starting with the 10-year U.S. Treasury from a daily perspective, this is better. So starting from the daily perspective here, looks like the daily chart suggests that interest rates are headed lower here, at least in the short run. For us, a 2.6 to 2.5 target makes a lot of sense right now. We've been kind of saying that they very possible that they could be pulling back here, and that's what looks to be the case. The PPO here are making new lows on the daily chart here, and it broke below the 50-day moving average, is below the middle Bollinger Band. Closed the week right above the 38 level, but below this red line of support. So I think this area to this area is likely where we ultimately head before finding a reasonable bottom. On a weekly perspective, it looks like we closed right below 60, that very important 60 level on RSI. So again, this level, that level that I put in on the daily, around the 2.6, coincides with that middle Bollinger Band support. Wouldn't be surprised that that's where we ultimately find a lot of support, and ultimately it coincides with that 50 RSI level, which I expect to hold. Why? In addition to just being a very important round number, this is the trend line that we broke when we broke out of this bullish flag right over here, coincided with a 50, and that's exactly where I expect the bottom to be found here. On a monthly perspective, very bullish. Nothing really to panic about. You want to see the 60 level hold. I think it will, and in the next couple of weeks, I think we'll ultimately break above 3% once this correction does take its course, complete its course. Now gold on the daily, gold's finding support here. Made another attempt at 1360, didn't quite make it there, but it had positive divergence here versus this attempt here. Basically same level of RSI, but price was lower, whereas RSI was higher. And basically now we pulled back to the 50 in the middle Bollinger Band. We're finding support right at that 50 level at RSI. I think we're going to start moving higher very soon. Look at the money flow. That's moving in a very positive direction. Gold weekly, we pulled back here after making an attempt at that 60 level on RSI. Kind of a shooting star pattern, which is not necessarily what you want to see, but I think there's enough reason to believe that next week, starting Monday, we might start pulling back, moving back higher again. A lot of support, middle Bollinger Band, 50 moving average, 200 moving average, and the PPO looks like it's starting to curl back above zero. Money flow is very positive here on a weekly standpoint, and a monthly just speaks for itself. New highs in RSI, higher lows, and we're breaking above this long-term 5-year downtrend here. Ultimately, I think this is going to break to the upside, and there's going to be massive gains to be made in the precious metal space. High yield on the daily looks pretty good, actually. It looks like a kind of double bottom here with positive divergence, and it's consolidating right below that 50. So this tells me that the market might be making a run higher, at least as indicated by these high yield. Now looking at the weekly, also had a double bottom here, and it looks pretty good, actually. I think that this might be making a nice snapback rally here. We'll see how long it can run, but this could be some very nice percentage gains, having found support at that 50 moving average and having kind of double bottom both in RSI and price with positive divergence. On a monthly though, we're finding some support here at the middle Bollinger Band. Let's see if that 61 level holds. If it does, that could be very bullish. If it doesn't, then we ultimately go lower. I've been pointing out the PPO is firmly below zero, so the question is, how long does it stay there? Does it continue making new bars lower, or does it start rolling back higher? We shall see. Sorry guys, still getting over a cold here, so doing my best. When it comes to crude oil daily looks like it wants to make new highs in terms of the last couple of months here. It's curling back higher to retest that 61 level, I think it's going to move higher very soon. Like crude oil here, it's one of the best looking sectors. Now on a weekly, we had a nice run. We kind of pulled back. Now are we going to find support here at that 60-61 level of RSI? We'll see. But so far the chart looks good. PPO looks like it's curling towards a break back above zero. So I like the chart here of energy. And on a monthly, it speaks for itself. The inverse head and shoulders here. It tried to pull back. I thought we could go as low as 50 on this pullback, but it didn't look like it wanted to go below 60, and now it's curling back above that 61 level on excuse me, on RSI. NASDAQ daily, this is where it gets interesting. For many months, this was a boring chart to look over the indices because they were just all overbought and nothing really to see here. But I think that there's a lot of potential double bottom here and potential for a nice snapback rally higher in the short run. Let's see what the weekly charts say. So we did find support, at least in the short term, at that 50 level in RSI. As I point out all the time, that's a crucial level to hold. So far so good. I think there might be some more kind of consolidation action before we determine a direction up or down longer term. And looking at the monthly, it's basically consolidating, in my opinion, where we are going lower. This is the beginning of a pretty important correction. I think that we're just in the early innings of, but we'll see. Right now we're still in very, very overbought territory, and so long as we're in this overbought territory, we assume the markets head higher. Now the Russell 2000 daily here, it's finding support on the 200-day moving average here consistently, and it looks like it wants to move higher. I like the Russell here for a snapback rally. On the weekly chart, we're finding support at that 50 weekly moving average here consistently, and so long as this holds, I think that this is still bullish lean until that 50 RSI level breaks or the 50 week moving average breaks to the downside. On a monthly basis, this one has been one of the weaker charts here, and if you look at the RSI from the 2016 lows in January, that has been broken. So can it break it from the downside? Yes, it can, but more likely than not, like I said, this up move from January 2016 is over. Question is, how does it react going forward? Consolidation, or as the PPO are suggesting, ultimately rolling over and having a 5, 10, 20% pullback. S&P daily looks good for a snapback rally here. Double bottom with positive divergence. I like the chart here in the short run. In the long run, though, there's just too much resistance at this point. I think any rally is going to be sold and sold hard. So, and ultimately this 50 week moving average ultimately breaks to the downside. Couple more charts here. On the monthly basis, we closed the month below that very, very important 70 level. Are we going to recapture that? We will see. It's possible we do it for a little bit and then ultimately go lower. I pointed out that I think ultimately we're going to see this 2150 level be tested before this corrective phase in the market is ultimately over. Now the dollar looks like it's bottoming and wants to rally towards 92. That's interesting because precious metals look pretty good right now. So we'll see what happens here with the US dollar. Here again is another chart of the dollar. Beautiful hammer pattern here last week. It closed above that 40 level on RSI and looks like it wants to make a run towards that 50 RSI level and ultimately this 92 trend line here. And again, look at PPO. It's moving ever so closely to break above that zero level. Now on the monthly, it's still bearish. You got the 50-week moving average, 50-month moving average, the 200 moving average, still above it. But ultimately, it's finding some support here. So it's going to be interesting to see, does it just consolidate here between 88 and 92, or does it break one way or the other? My hunch is still that it's going to go lower before higher, but anything is possible, and it's finding some support here, so it's something to keep an eye on. And volatility, so we had rally here as I expected once we broke out of this bullish flag here, but now if we can't hold this 50 level, it looks like it's going to break lower. It looks like volatility might break lower a little bit. It's very possible it could retest the. I can draw this out here. It's very possible that volatility tests the upside of this breakout point right here. So it can go lower and still be in a bullish formation. So we'll see what happens here on the VIX. Now looking at it from a weekly perspective, this is a shooting star pattern, not what you want to see here if you're a volatility bull, but there's so much support here. Middle Bollinger Band, a 50-week, 200-week moving averages, and ultimately I think this resolves higher. As you see here on the monthly, we were pointing this out for a long time. We finally broke out here. Ultimately, I think this is going to hit a high of 90 before this pullback or corrective phase in the market ends. Finally, the world charts setting up here for a little run here. I think once this little downtrend breaks, there's going to be a nice rally here, possibly to 2100, fill this gap. But ultimately, you look at it from a monthly perspective, this beautiful parabolic move higher, it has been broken, and so there's going to be some very, very important consolidation to be had here on the world indices. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. For those of you who are new to our videos, please check us out at patreon.com/Moniology. This is where we are building a community of active investors, and we're trying to build a platform for you guys. So we appreciate your support, and thanks, and have yourself a great week. Be well. Take care.